welcome to TBA. My name is Matt, this is Caitlin, and we have a very tidy show for you this week.
So we're going to jump straight into it with News of the Week.
Thanks team. Commuters in Sydney have taken a hit this week as bus drivers have walked off the job. This comes after the planned privatisation of some of the services in the inner west of Sydney. Cassie Sainsbury's fiancé has appeared on air to blame fellow Australians for Cassie going to jail over cocaine smuggling. Scott Broadbridge has claimed deals and payments were made between a man referenced as Tom or Angelo and Cassie. In a large bust, a 24-year-old Balgownie woman and 9 others have been arrested for their involvement in a $165 million tax fraud syndicate. The woman is to appear on Wollongong Court on the Thursday. And for everyone who is in the Illawarra, you would know that the Great Moscow Circus is in town. But a giant inflatable clown has been stolen and they are desperately seeking it. If anyone knows anybody else with a giant inflatable clown in their backyard, please contact the circus immediately. Thanks. Back to you.
Didn't you have a giant inflatable clown?
The other day, there was a student protest at UOW for the proposed changes to university funding.
Finding new ways to screw you over.
This is a war on young people and we won't stand for it. I don't think there's any silver lining on this kind of a budget. The government's still cutting fees and they're still pushing the money off into big corporate business pockets. It shows a clear priority for the budget and we just won't stand for it.
That's a but his education for free. Birmingham got his education for free.
We are opposed to the government's plan to increase student fees, decrease university funding. The inevitable result will be an increase in class sizes, and they're already bursting at the seams. We hope that the government will see sense. We want to ensure that we put maximum pressure on the Senate to ensure that they don't vote for propositions.
No fees!
No corporate universities! No cuts! No fees! No corporate universities!
Look, I think we've just seen a really passionate protest from a group of students who are concerned about their education, about the time that they're going to be called upon to repay their student debts, and about everyone else who comes after them. The cut to the threshold for repayments means that you get, as soon as you graduate, you're closer and closer to that threshold. What does that mean? It means it's harder to afford a house, it's harder to afford rent, it's harder to get a loan for a new car or to start a new job. And I think everyone was pretty clear today that they're angry about it, they don't want it, and they want the government, particularly Nick Xenophon in the Senate, to vote against it.
Students, young people go to university to create opportunities for themselves, to educate themselves, to be able to contribute to society. Cutting that capability off from young people, it's scary what kind of society it's going to create.
It's a reverse Robin Hood. They want to take it from the poor, take from students, punitively attack people on unemployment benefits to pay for a massive corporate tax handout to the rich.
Well, it's a pretty dumb decision. You know, if you drop $50 billion on corporate tax cuts, and at the same time as you're cutting or restricting people's access to education, it's dumb now, but it's also dumb over the long term, because, you know, into the future, what's going to make a strong economy is a bright, educated, resilient workforce.
People are not happy. You cannot have a budget that gives $65 billion back to the people who least need it, and at the same time say, but to balance up the books, we're going to expect young people, when they come out of their university training, just trying to make a start in life, they can carry all the burden. We've got to be out there saying this is absolutely unacceptable in our communities.
We want students to clear their throat, find their voice, and stand up for a decent quality of education, you know.
But what everyone else has got to do out there is get hold of the senators. Nick Xenophon said that he's wavering in what he wants to do. Well, email him. Give his office a call. Get in touch with him, because if you don't tell him your views, get him on Twitter. If you don't tell him your views, he doesn't know them, and the more people who tell him they don't want this, the more influence they're going to have.
Well, looks like we better cut off the avocado toast.
I want to be a millionaire, so yeah, I'm going to have to do that. Our next story is going to be focusing on the CrossFit Championships at WIN Stadium next Friday.
In the last 10 years, CrossFit has become an international fitness hit. Next Friday, Wollongong's own WIN Stadium will host the top athletes from the Asia Pacific in the CrossFit Regionals. Dean Linda Layden has been training vigorously for his 4th entry into the Games.
Well, this is my 4th time competing. I've come close a couple of times. I think I've got just as good a chance of anyone. It's just making sure I perform well on the weekend. I think I'm fit enough and strong enough, but everyone else is also at a very high standard. It's more not making any mistakes. I think I've worked in a few boxes over the years, a few different gyms rather over the years, and nearly 70% of every gym, CrossFit gym membership is all female. I think why is because there's no mirrors. It takes all the emphasis of sort of how you look and all the emphasis on how you move, how you perform.
I think Wollongong's definitely a hub for CrossFit at the moment, especially because Wynn Stadium, I think it brings in a huge amount of people. All the hotels locally are all completely booked out. It just brings in this massive flurry of new business to the community, and it just brings in a whole new interest into Wollongong.
I love that there are different communities. We've got the CrossFit community, we've got the powerlifting community, and then everyone in between. So those who want to just do their own thing, and whether they do bodybuilding or whether they just do a whole mixture, and it's open for everyone.
Next Friday, Dean will be representing his CrossFit community against competitors from all over the Asia Pacific. Ibrahim Chanaoui, UAW TV Multimedia.
CrossFit certainly is getting popular. I go through my Instagram feed every day and I see some friends, I see some celebrities doing it, and I'm like, I appreciate it. I just don't know if I have the work ethic to do it.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that. So we now have an in-studio interview with Clayton McDough, the project manager for the UAW Solar Decathlon Team.
So we're now joined with Clayton McDough, the project manager of the Solar Decathlon Team going to Dubai in 2018. How you going?
Fantastic. Thank you very much for having me here.
First things first, do you reckon you can tell us a bit about your team and the actual event that's going to happen in 2018?
Sure. Probably a little bit on the Solar Decathlon itself. It was created by the US Department of Energy back in year 2000, and there's been 12 competitions since then and 4 undergoing at the moment. And the whole purpose of this competition is to actually challenge collegiate teams to design, build and construct a solar-powered home. So a lot of people don't understand that we actually build a physical house. So the point of it is a sustainable, eco-friendly home, really, that people could possibly live in the future. And that's more advanced than what we currently have today.
So the process, if I believe, is you build it here first, right? And then you take it over to Dubai and you'll be building it there again.
Yeah, so we'll actually construct it first in TAFE's facilities here. So they've set aside a workshop for us, which is great. And then we'll pull it apart, rebuild it on the Innovation Campus, have a big public open event, and then pull it apart, take it to Dubai, and then the students have 10 days to assemble it there on site.
So this isn't the first time that you've entered the competition. So in 2013 you went to China, I believe?
Yeah, correct.
So tell us a little bit about that.
So this is my first time, but it's not Team UAW's first time. Right. So they went into China with the finals being in 2013. The house was quite different for that one. They actually did a building retrofit, which is taking the idea of an existing house and upgrading it to be a new sustainable home. So they modelled it off an existing fibre house here in Illawarra. And they demonstrated that. They went forward and they won that competition and they set the world record, which still stands today, which is fantastic.
That's incredible. So that was their angle in 2013. So what do you guys, what's your game plan for 2018?
So this time we decided to tackle a real social need, and that's the ageing population of not just our country here, but other countries across the world. And we wanted to be able to tackle some of the issues that come with ageing, including age-related disabilities such as dementia. So we're looking at how do we actually improve the lives of people living with dementia, and how do we actually change the floor layout or the colour tones or even the actual taps and the other amenities of the home so that it can support their lives moving forward as they continue to age. So if we can take some of those stresses off the health industry and improve the lives of the people that live in there. So the motto of the house is a house for life. So we see people being able to retire into the home and live in it for as long as they actually choose to.
And you just mentioned taps, like something as simple as that. So how is that going to feed into your house? Like what's the reasoning behind that?
So, well, with dementia, sometimes you go back recognising things to earlier times in your life. So those who are just being diagnosed with dementia now are only starting to really recognise the mixer taps with a single valve handle as an actual place to get water, whereas previously we always had 2 taps for this. So how do we actually even transform the existing things? Or another great example is a telephone. How much has the look and feel of a telephone changed over the last, 20 years, let alone 50 years? So how do you actually build an existing home, have it modern, have it sexy, but also still actually apply and be recognisable to someone who actually has, who is living with dementia, so to support their needs.
So what are the challenges that you've noticed between the 2013 event and then the ones that you're going in 2018?
So China was interesting because the climate where they actually competed was quite similar to Wollongong, and this is a beautiful place to live. It's quite mild, but this time we're going to Dubai. It's extremely hot, and a lot of people don't realise it's actually extremely humid as well. So we can get up around 50 plus degrees Celsius and humidity above 90%. So for the competition and the house, we have to be able to keep it between 22 degrees and 25 degrees and humidity less than 65%. Plus you've also got the hot winds and the sand, so they are the big differences for us moving forward in how we actually build a house that is able to stand up in these hostile conditions. We're also limited on how much solar PV we can have on the roof as well, so how do you do all that, keep it comfortable, healthy, with a limited supply of power?
So in the build up to 2018, can you just tell us how people can get in contact with you and keep up with what you're doing and what exactly you are going to be doing?
Yeah, so I guess we're still in the stages right now of designing. We're looking for new members across UAW and TAFE. We're looking for people, especially from this area here. Communications is an individual contest of this. We are judged on that, and we are looking for journalists and media personnel to help us actually communicate to the public. So to get in contact with us, the easiest way is through our website, which is desertrosehouse.com.au. Otherwise, we have the Solar Decathlon Social Club here. You check out the clubs and societies here, and you can get in contact us through that path as well. And we'd love to invite anyone else on board that actually wants to make a difference to how we live in the future.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us in studio, and good luck for the 2018 competition.
No worries. Thank you both very much.
We're going to now head to Food for Thought. The girls are preparing sushi.
Hey guys, and welcome to the 6th segment of Food for Thought. This is a segment where we show you how to make nutritious and cheap meals. Yeah, so today we're going to show you how to make homemade sushi.
Absolutely. So we'll get started and we'll tell you a little bit about some of the benefits of making sushi.
So the ingredients you'll need are some nori sheets, any filling of your choice, so we've got cucumber and carrots and avocado. You need some cooked rice and soy sauce, which we've chosen to use tamari, which is a low sodium and healthier version of soy sauce.
Yeah, so when you can get something healthier, why not choose the healthier meat? Okay, so what you want to do first is grab a sushi sheet. You want to make sure you place the bottom on the half that's the shiny side, so the shiny side goes on the bottom. Now we're also using a rolling mat for this, so you can roll your sushi into place. We are going to start by putting the rice. So don't put too much rice, don't overfill your sushi, otherwise you won't be able to roll it. So we'll put the sushi on, and then we'll start adding the toppings of your choice. We're going to add avocado, some carrots, bit of cucumber, and then what you want to do is start rolling the sushi all the way, and just when you get to the end you want to grab a little bit of water with your finger, maybe your index finger, and roll it at the end of the sushi nori roll, and then that's going to make sure that the sushi sticks to the nori sheets, and just take it out. And there you have your sushi roll. By making this sushi, you are getting your daily dose of vegetables, which is going to provide you with antioxidants and a bunch full of vitamins. Okay, so this is the final product. As you see. As you see. Alright, so this is the final product. As you see, we just cut them into sections, and yeah, we're gonna.
Also, all these ingredients are really cheap. You know, you've got rice, which is like the cheapest carbohydrate, and really cheap veggies as well that you can buy from the local supermarket, and so yeah, it's easy, cheap, quick to make.
Yeah, and you can also put it in a container like most of the food we're making and take it to uni, take it to work, wherever you want to go. Okay guys, so that was the end of our segment.
Yeah, thanks for joining us today, and we hope you liked today's recipe.
Yeah. Join us next week where we show you how to make nutritious, and if we can, I don't know how much more cheaper we can make it, but more cheaper food for you guys.
That shot of the sushi slow motion falling off the tray, I love that. I am not the biggest fan of sushi, so I like to see it suffer.
Wow, you've got very strong feelings towards
If it's
sushi.
not on my grocery list, it is out, all right? So hey, this is the end of our show. The train stops here. Everyone get off your carriages. Thank you for watching the show. Where can they find us?
You guys can find us at UAW TV on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next week.
Adios.
Bye.